Classical pianist Amber Hammond never thought performing on a cruise ship could see her locked up in a Sydney hotel room for 2 weeks.
What essentially was meant to be a 10-day working holiday, I guess you'd call it, turned into a nightmare that just doesn't seem to have any finish line.
After arriving from Hawaii on Thursday, Amber and other passengers from the Norwegian Jewel were brought to the Swiss hotel in Sydney. The ship has had no confirmed cases of coronavirus.
So this is day 2 of quarantine, and it's getting pretty harrowing actually, hearing the sounds of some of the people in the rooms next door yelling and begging to be let out of the room because they're desperate for fresh air.
Why are you keeping me stranded in here? You have no idea! You can't keep people locked up in their rooms!
No, we need
They give them nothing!
sunshine.
Yeah.
Sunshine, air!
Exercise.
I can't even get fresh air!
Amber says she's doing okay in hotel quarantine, but is deeply concerned for elderly people in nearby rooms.
There's a number of older people on their own, and then they're really suffering. I can hear people down the hallway crying, and there's a woman who's hysterical and pleading to be let out, and she's having panic attacks. Her husband's distraught. There's people who need blood pressure medication, cholesterol tablets, insulin, and they're calling me and they're asking for help. And what to do?
New South Wales Police told 7:30 all those in quarantine have access to medical care and all dietary needs are being met.
After she left to perform on the cruise...
Amber's other concern is being separated from her 17-year-old daughter.
And I just can't believe that it's considered okay to keep a mother away from her child like this.
States and territories will be quarantining all arrivals through our airports, in hotels and other accommodation facilities for the 2 weeks of their mandatory self-isolation.
This is not an ideal situation for anyone to confront, and it was certainly not the government's preference to have to go down this road.
Adam Cameron Scott worked with the Rudd government in 2008 when it revised and tested Australia's pandemic preparedness plan.
The reason why it's been necessary, though, is because we've heard of too many people that have not been doing the right thing, and they've continued to move about the community, potentially spreading the virus even as they go. And what we're trying desperately to avoid is widespread community transmission of this virus.
And we're a bit worried about using the air conditioner.
Dr Jenny Corson and her husband, Dr Robert Rattray, are concerned they could end up actually catching the coronavirus while under quarantine.
If we were at home in Melbourne, in our own home, we'd be far less risk of getting the virus than we are in a hotel with food that's prepared by other people and lots of people walking around in the lobby, and we're transferred from place to place.
They were among a group of doctors who arrived in Sydney on Friday evening after a month-long medical conference on board a cruise ship in Antarctic waters. She and her partner are now at the Intercontinental Hotel in Sydney.
When we reached the hotel, the police were with us and they took all the details of the people who were staying in the hotel, their personal details and their flight numbers. The police assured us that we'd be able to fly the following day. We're being led by...
Jenny Corson says her group arrived in Sydney 24 hours before the forcible hotel quarantine period was due to begin and were given permission to leave.
They understood that they were free to leave and they were keen to get home as soon as possible. They were all intending to go into isolation at home for 2 weeks, as we were.
They and other passengers have since been accused of ignoring quarantine orders and attempting to abscond from health officials. In a statement, the New South Wales Police Commissioner said the doctors were another example of members of the community who have not listened to the advice of the government. Jenny and her husband deny they ignored official advice and say they were preparing to go into quarantine at home.
I think it has to be done. I understand that. We just seem to have been caught somehow in some sort of time warp in a period in which we should have been able to go free, but we were held by the government in hotels for a reason we don't really understand.
The measures were announced and implemented rather quickly. So there's a lot of discussions that have to be held before you end up getting a hotel to agree to this type of situation. That's probably why we've seen a few glitches.
This is our gilded prison, pretty much standard upmarket hotel room, huge bed, some pretty nice city views outside the window.
Not everyone is upset with the hotel quarantine arrangements. Many are just frustrated and bored.
7:20 in the evening and we've just had our first dinner delivered to our room, a green chicken curry. I'm happy with the decision that the Prime Minister made to get us here, and I think I understand why he's done that. I reckon we can probably last fairly well for 4 or 5 or 6 days. After that, we might be scratching our heads and wondering what the hell we're doing here.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 7:30's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.